You are in the Temple of the Rants, where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get one of these by becoming one of those. This one is for Justin Manzi, who says, rant about the Quasimoto album, The Unseen. But if you don't have time to listen to the album, rant about the songs Low Class Conspiracy, Come on Feet, and Realize. And if you aren't familiar, Quasimoto is Madlib's alter ego with a sped-up voice. I heard you say you're not a fan of Madlib production, and I just couldn't believe that, since to me his production is incredibly versatile, and I think you might like his Quasimoto stuff, since it's more insanely experimental. But if you still don't like it, I'm curious to know why. Cheers. So I gave this album a listen, and some of his other album. First of all, the pitch-shifted vocals are a little difficult for me to get into. I'm generally not a huge fan of pitch-shifted vocals in rap. I think they're always really cheesy. In this case, the fact that it's consistent across all of it is at least a little bit better, since it's like clearly a character. I just don't really necessarily care for the sound of it. But I don't really see how this is so insanely experimental. I mean, most of the beats are pretty straightforward boom bap beats, just with, I don't know, maybe the sampling or the sound palette is a little different from, I mean, I guess it's distinctive enough. You definitely recognize Madlib's sound with all the samples from, like, older, kitschy, like, commercials and stuff like that. And maybe this is just because he is himself influential, but I feel like I've heard tons of rap albums that go for this style, and generally just that boom bap kind of sound is just what I think when I think of just standard lyrical rap music. Like, when I think experimental rap, I think like clipping, where it's harsh noise and like crazy fucking sounds that they invented. And or something like Dialect, where there's just this oppressive wall of droning synths and shit over everything, or Death Grips, where they are basically plugging sounds recorded off of a camcorder into a E-kit and having Zach Hill fucking play crazy ass drums while a psychotic guy screams over the whole thing about nonsense. That's what I think when I think experimental hip hop, and I love experimental hip hop. When I listen to Madlib, I think this just sounds like what I expect hip hop to sound like. It's distinctive, but experimental, I don't see how the song structures or the type of production is so different from, say, what you would find on Adele the Funky Homo Sapien album, or what you would find on an LP album, which I would even say is more experimental. What you would find on, something like Cunning Linguists, like just any rapper or rap group that's more known for being like kind of lyrical and having like just a more distinctive sound is not that different from this. So, I don't know. It didn't grab me. I felt like I could appreciate the music, but not necessarily understand what people find so appealing about Madlib's production in particular, like as compared to other similar artists. I feel like something like Czarface's Every Hero Has a Villain has a very similar sound to this, and I'm sure that that's partly because, again, I think it's influenced directly by this. It's definitely, maybe this sound would have been crazier had I not experienced so many artists who were influenced by Madlib, but yeah, man, it doesn't that particular aesthetic, the particular style of sampling that he does of like kitschy old commercials and stuff like that is not really my style. It doesn't really engross me in the way that something like, again, Dialect's walls of depressing synthesizers do. So, yeah, I guess it's just not my thing.